Cloth World, it's Sarah from Diapering Cloth, and today I'm doing a video that I've been wanting to do for a really long time. This is going to be how to succeed at cloth diapering, and this is pretty much just a random list of things that I have been thinking about over the past year. As wonderful as cloth diapering is for the environment and for your baby and for your wallet, you can run into some setbacks, and I have run into many. Fighting with my daughter here. I've run into many, and I have been making a list in my head of everything I did wrong. I think I pretty much did everything wrong from the get-go. So these are things that I have learned from my experience. I have once again created a pretty long video here. I apologize, but it's pretty detailed, and I have separated this into many categories that you can find down below. But let's kick this list off. So first, I'm going to talk about buying diapers, and this first one is very important. Resist the urge to buy your diapers off of Amazon, especially their 2 free-day shipping. I know it's tempting, but resist the urge to do so. You can also get them from Target or Babies R Us, but buy your diapers from an actual cloth diaper store, whether it is online or if you have a store by you. Many of these places have a point system, so usually the amount of dollars that you spend at their store, you will rack up an equivalent amount of points, and you can use these points and redeem them to get gift certificates, which is just free money, essentially. And in addition to these points, many of these places also have coupon codes that you can use to get free gifts or free diapers, which, let's be honest, who doesn't want that? Or you can get a discount off of your order, and you can't get any of these things on Amazon. So make sure you order your diapers from an actual cloth diaper store. Number 2, try it out first. Don't go buying like 8 diapers of a particular brand, of a few different brands, and just assume that's what you're going to use for your cloth diapering days like I did. Because guess what? None of them ended up working. I had to sell all of them. Many places have a diaper trial that it's a period of time that you can they have a selection of diapers you can choose from, and you can try them out, and if you don't like them, you can send them back for store credit, and if you do like them, you can keep them. So that's an option, or if you're going to just buy some yourself, buy like one of a few different brands. Don't buy like 8 like I did. Try it out first. 3, cheaper doesn't always mean cheap diapers, and expensive doesn't always mean well-made. I've got some Kauai diapers that I used when my daughter was a newborn, and I still use them today, and they have held up just fine, and they were like $8 diapers, which is pretty cheap. And I've got some Blueberry diapers that I really hardly use at all anymore, and I wouldn't recommend because the quality just isn't there, and they were super, super expensive. 4, one-size diapers are great, but there's a good chance if your baby is in diapers from like newborn to 2, 2.5, 3 years old, there's a good chance that these diapers are going to get pretty worn down and will probably at least need elastic replacement. Hopefully, especially Velcro or hook and loop, whatever, that might need replacing. Maybe the snaps will be okay. But apparently these things aren't hard. I have never changed elastic before, but I'm planning on doing it and recording myself when I do, which is going to be a pretty fun video because I'm not crafty at all. But it's just something to keep in mind. Number 5, skip the extra inserts. When I first bought all my diapers, I was under the assumption that they were all, for whatever reason, going to need extra absorbency. And the actual fact of the matter is, if it's a good diaper, it won't need any extra absorbency. And guess what? I haven't used like any of those. So you might want a couple doublers here and there if you're going to be on a long car ride or if you think you're not going to be able to change the diaper for a while. But don't assume that all of your diapers need extra absorbency. And 6, if you happen to buy a diaper that really just isn't working out for you, maybe it's not really fitting well on your baby, or it's just not what you were looking for, but you are past the point that you can return it, sell it. Especially if you don't think you're going to have another kid, or if you just don't want a diaper room, a bunch of diapers lying around, you can sell your diapers. I've had success with Cloth Diaper Trader, but there are also a ton of Facebook groups. There are tons of people out there looking to buy used diapers. And conversely, you can buy used diapers if you want to. It's a great way to buy cheap diapers. Even your old broken down ones that you don't think anybody would ever want, you can sell them for pretty cheap and somebody will buy them and replace the elastic. So don't give up on your diapers, sell them. The next category is fit. And as I've mentioned, my daughter is now 1 year old and she has kind of a weird shape. She's got a skinny waist and big thighs. But this is going to be what I think would work well on babies of all ages and all shapes and all sizes, and what has worked well for her since she was either a newborn or like right after her newborn diaper phase until now. So the most versatile diaper that I've come across in terms of fit is a one-size side snapping diaper. This is a bottom bumpers, just for example. And the wonderful thing about side snapping diapers is that you can go over like way different settings for the waist and thigh. So for example, my daughter has a small waist, so I could go over like pretty skinny in the waist. And then I can go over like 3 or like even 4 snaps for the thigh and get it nice and big so it's not digging into her legs. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, maybe your baby has a bigger waist and little skinny thighs. So you can go over bigger for the waist and then go in like really, really skinny for the thigh. Or if your baby is like totally proportional, you can just go like the same setting. So they're really customizable for that reason. So just in case you are not a fan of side snapping diapers, and I know a lot of people don't really like them, and I'll be honest, I don't even use them for everything. I still use my front snapping diapers and like them a lot. For front snapping diapers, I recommend one size without any crossover snaps. And this is a Bum Genius, for example. What do I have against crossover snaps? Here is a Lullaby baby. And for babies that have proportional shapes, I'm sure these work just fine. But there was a period of many, many months where my daughter couldn't wear any diapers that had crossover snaps. And that is because of her small waist and her big thighs. So many of these crossover snap diapers don't actually get any smaller in the smallest setting than, like, let's say the Bum Genius. The Bum Genius actually gets smaller than the Lullaby baby on the smallest setting. So that's kind of the first thing. And the second thing is when you're crossing these wings over, you're effectively reducing the leg holes of the thigh. You're making the thigh a lot smaller and tighter. So my daughter's waist wasn't really growing and her thighs were getting bigger, but she had no room for her thighs to grow in here. It was way too tight. So that was the problem with crossover snaps. Diapers that don't cross over seem to work really well for babies with proportional shapes too, so I would opt for this instead. Another factor to take into account when you are looking for diapers that will fit your baby is shrinkage. And I'm going to use this bottom bumpers again just because I have it right here, but this is actually a perfect example because this diaper shrank a ton. So diapers that have, especially all-in-ones, that have a natural fiber interior lining, both the shell itself and the insert, the natural fiber insert, will shrink. So any natural fiber diapers that you have, whether it's just an insert or if it's an actual diaper, like the whole diaper like this one, make sure you take into account shrinkage because natural fibers can shrink a ton. And last, I'm going to be doing a whole nother video on trimness, and depending on when this gets posted, that may or may not be on my channel already. But I'm just going to throw out the trimmest option that you can choose from is really a cover that has no interior lining and an absorbency portion that is tailored to fit your baby. This is a flat, for example, but something that is sized to fit your baby. This is the trimmest option because there isn't a whole lot of bulk. This cover is really, really thin material, so when it bunches, you're not going to get any really bulk with it. And since this insert is sized to fit your baby, you're not going to have to fold it over and create a whole lot of bulk in there either. All right, so now that you have bought your diapers, let's talk about the third category, which is washing them. Probably the most important step in your washing routine is to, number one, figure out your water type. I was running under the assumption for many, many months that I had soft water because I did a Google search and, for my area, supposedly I'm supposed to have soft water. But I recently ran into some rust spot issues, which are like little orange spots on my diapers, and I was like, what's going on? So I finally bought a water test, and apparently I've got some pretty hard water. So you want to make sure, for me, I've got a lot of extra minerals in my water, so you want to be able to counteract that. You want to pinpoint what kind of water type you have, so you're not going to be ruining your diapers. And there's detergents out there kind of designed for each different type. Water, heat, detergent. I was not a cheerleader. Isn't that obvious? There are many, many articles out there that are wonderful about the best ways to clean diapers, but things that I realized work well for me that I wasn't doing in the past, using enough detergent. That was really, really key for me. Also, using the right detergent. I went through a few of those too. So use enough detergent, use enough water. With my HE washer, that thing hates water. It's against water. But I do have a water plus option, so I'll put that on. I also do the bulky load setting, so there's inherently more water in that. Make sure you have enough water. And heat. Heat is important because it doesn't sanitize anything, but kind of like a greasy pan that has a lot of stuff caked on it, just running the heat over that really helps kind of slide all those particles off. So it's really good for that reason too. I do a pre-rinse, I do a pretty long wash, and then I do an extra couple rinses at the end. I'll do a separate video on my actual routine, but I'll post those articles down below. 3, I highly recommend washing every other day. I started off my cloth diapering days washing every 3 days, and I have a perfect example of why I don't do that anymore. I don't know if you can see that. That right there is mold. Oh, it's nasty. And that's why I wash every other day. If you go longer than that, you're running the risk of this and just your diapers not getting clean or sitting too long, especially for an HE washer. So I highly recommend washing every other day. 4, spray off your poopy and your overnight diapers. And if you don't have a sprayer, I know some people can they will just put them in the bathtub and run water over them. But it really, especially for an HE washer, helps tremendously, helps to get the diapers clean. Getting as much as you can of that poop off before you put them in the washing machine helps tremendously, and especially overnight diapers that have urine just caked on there after many, many hours. Really helps dilute that and just kind of flood the diaper and get most of that urine out. So I highly recommend doing that. 5, line dry your shells or anything that has snaps, hook and loop, elastic, or PUL, TPU, any laminated material. Line dry it. This isn't something I started doing until maybe 5 months, and boy, I can tell a huge difference between those old diapers and the ones that I use now. You will really help prolong the life of your diapers. It's really not hard. I just take them out of the washing machine. I've got a rack. I just hang them up real quick. It's not hard at all, and it really, really helps your diapers. And 6, don't underestimate the power of the sun. This thing is like magic. If you've got stains on your diapers, just lay them out in the sun and poof, it's gone. It disintegrates right before your eyes. I was in such disbelief the first time I did it. I read about it and I was like, come on, that's not going to work. And it did, really magically. So it seems to work better for some fabrics than others, but it also is a great kind of antibacterial. The UV rays will get in there and kind of kill things, and it's free. So don't underestimate the sun. The 4th category is stripping. And I'm not going to lie, stripping is not fun. But it's kind of like an ex-boyfriend. You learn a lot about yourself along the way, and hopefully you won't make the same mistakes again. The goal with the washing method is to get it so nailed down that you don't have to strip, and hopefully once you do, you won't have to. I just stripped for the first time in 6 months, and that's kind of because, as I said, I discovered I had hard water, but if you get everything nailed down well enough, stripping shouldn't even have to be an issue. Unfortunately, though, stripping your diapers is almost like a rite of passage when it comes to cloth diapering. I'm pretty sure that everybody has had to strip their diapers at least once, and we are all a little bit wiser because of it. So you will know when you need to strip. Your diapers will start to leak when before they worked just fine, or maybe they'll start to stink, and you know the smell. You kind of like smell it, and you're like, is it supposed to smell like that? That's kind of the sign. Is it supposed to smell like that? That means that there's a good chance you got to strip your diapers. So number one is breathe. Don't panic. Panicking can lead to desperation, and you can go to extremes, which can end up hurting your diapers. And unfortunately, I made that mistake. Some of those extremes to which I'm referring, number one, soaking. I know it's a very popular method for some people, but I forgot to bring my examples, but I soaked my diapers one time and I started getting holes. My elastics, I washed a few more times. My elastics were like totally shot. Like the diapers were like destroyed, and I was so devastated. I felt so stupid. But certainly, as I mentioned, some people like it, but I would recommend other things before you soak. Another method, like bleaching, there's some harsh chemicals you can add to your diapers. I would definitely just recommend starting some other starting places before you go to extremes like that. What has worked well for me with stripping is Mighty Bubbles. It's made by Grovia. You just throw a pack in your washing machine and you run it. It has things like enzymes that normal detergent doesn't have, but just running like a cycle or two. Sometimes it says on there it takes 3 cycles to get them totally clean, but that's a lot better than just suspending your diapers in water for a long time. So that has worked well for me. I know Tide Original has worked well for people, and it's kind of along the same lines. That has enzymes and stuff too, but just using that every now and then can really help clean your diapers without doing too much damage. I wouldn't use it all the time though. And also boiling. You can only boil things that don't have any snaps, elastic, hook and loop, like anything like that, or no PUL, no TPU. It pretty much just has to be fabric, which is why it's something to consider when you're buying diapers. If you're, the less of that fancy stuff that you have, the easier they are to clean, the better kind of beating they can take. But I really like boiling too. I'll just boil a pot, throw it in, and 20 minutes later, your diaper should be clean. So that's another method that has worked really well for me too. And again, just something to think about when you're buying diapers. Ones that are easier to strip are, again, ones that have inserts that don't have any snaps or elastic or anything extra like that. Also, ones that the shell is separate from the absorbency. So if you have shells that have no inner fabric, they don't even need to be stripped at all. So you can just, go about your business and keep those out of this whole stripping process, which will really help the elastic and the snaps on those. So that's definitely beneficial. And also having a larger stash does, help prolong the life of your diapers, but it can be a lot harder to strip because if you have to strip all of them, that might mean running like 2 or 3 cycles of everything, which can be really time consuming and kind of expensive. So that's just something to keep in mind. Wouldn't it be nice if you didn't have to strip at all? Yes. I think that's the only answer to that. The next category 5, is going to be avoiding stink. Number 1, less is more. The less layers you have sewn together, the easier they are to clean, which cuts down on laundry time. It also cuts down on drying time. And never has that been more true than in the case of overnight diapers. Flats really are a man's best friend. Flats are just one layer of fabric and can be folded virtually any way to switch up the absorbency. So I highly recommend those, but keep the layers sewn together to a minimum. And 2, keep the absorbency separate from the shell. Having absorbency built into a shell that has a waterproof backing obviously it's going to be hard for the water to pass through the waterproof fabric. So you're really only getting a clean from one side. And especially if there's more than one layer sewn into the shell, it can be really hard for the water to penetrate in there and get it clean. So if you can, keep the absorbency in the shell separate. And obviously another way to avoid stink is to just have a really nailed down washing routine. And in my washing section before, I went over what has worked for me, and I've got those links down below, but that's really the #1 way that you can avoid stink. Category 6 is avoiding leaks. And I'm going to make an entire separate video on this, but first of all, you want to make sure that your diapers are fully prepped. And this applies to natural fiber diapers. Some of them can take up to 10 times, have to be washed at least 10 times before they reach their maximum absorbency. So before you go dismissing the diaper as not being absorbent enough, make sure that it has been fully prepped first. You also want to make sure that the absorbency is nice and tight against your baby's skin. Some diapers come with snap-in inserts. Like I said, you run the risk of those not being as durable as some other options and not as easy to strip. And personally, I haven't found those to be necessary. But one thing you do want to look for is diapers that don't have a whole lot of excess fabric or that have a way to reduce the fabric. So I'm a huge fan of snapping of one-size diapers that have the 3 columns for the rise adjustment, because I will just go in and snap this middle one. Depending on where your baby is, you can snap some of these and keep this nice and tight and keep the absorbency nice and tight against the skin. Another thing that can contribute to leaking are pocket diapers. For example, this Bum Genius. I can't even use pocket diapers because I get leaks every single time, and that could be the case for you. You might think that your diaper just isn't absorbent enough, but the problem could actually be the synthetic lining of the pocket diaper. So for my daughter, I guess the way she pees is it's just like too hard or fast or something, and there's not enough time or compression for the moisture to pass through the lining, so it'll just leak out because synthetic linings do require compression in order to properly work. So that could be a possibility for you too. There are options around that if you still want a stay-dry lining, and I'll make a separate video on that, but pocket diapers can definitely contribute to leaking as well. And the last section is going to be just things that personally I have found to be extremely beneficial to me. The first one is something I touched on earlier, and that is flats are a cloth diaper's best friend. They are the last thing that I came across, and I wish they would have been the first. They are a tried and true method, and they are that for a reason. They are wonderful for my HE washer. They are very easy to clean, and pairing them with covers is really nice. The covers are really easy to clean and have held up really well. I have a favorite videos of the top 3 that I recommend for that, but that's my first point. Don't underestimate flats. They're pretty awesome. Number 2, diversity is a good thing. There's a good chance that you'll find that you like some diapers for like certain times of the day and other diapers for going out or for overnight or for whatever. So really, diversity is a wonderful thing, and it also helps kind of appease my curiosity. I have found that when I get down to like one diaper, I get really curious about trying other ones. So having a few of different brands really kind of helps curb that curiosity within me. So I highly recommend having diversity in your stash. Number 3, invest in some good wipes. I showed my old wipes before. These are the Bumpkins flannel wipes, and this one's pretty nasty. I apologize. And these did work well. They are a good size, and the flannel works just fine. It really did. But when I tried my first terry wipe, these are the Grow Via wipes. These are a double-sided terry. I fell in love. These really make a world of difference for especially poop changes. Investing in a good wipe, I highly recommend, and I really, really like these Grow Via wipes. And last, and possibly the most important in my opinion, is to love your stash. Whether you are a sucker for prints or beautiful, bold solids or whatever, By all means, fill your stash with diapers that you like within your limits. Don't go overboard. Don't start a diaper room. But really, inevitably, you're probably going to run into some issues throughout your cloth diapering experience, especially when you're first starting to figure out your washing routine and everything like that. And stripping, as I mentioned, is not fun and can be a little bit discouraging. You're going to be doing so much laundry. Anything to just kind of put a smile on your face just really brightens your day, whether it's a cute print or whatever. So by all means, love your stash. So that's our video on how to succeed at cloth diapering. As I mentioned, these are just random things that I have thought of over the past year throughout my cloth diapering experience. Hopefully I didn't forget anything too important. If I did, I'll post it down here. But as always, thanks for watching.